As a launch title for the GameCube back in 2001, Luigi's Mansion has solidified itself as one of the best GameCube titles, in addition to maintaining high praise and a dedicated fanbase all these years later. So while millions of people have played and enjoyed Luigi's Mansion, exploring every room and picking the game apart to discover every secret or scrapped element, there is one mysterious discussion that has caught my attention recently, and its conflicting information only adds to the unsettling allure that many of the areas in Luigi's Mansion emit. One of the player's main objectives in Luigi's Mansion involves recapturing all of EGAD's portrait ghosts that have escaped from their paintings. In total, there are 23 portrait ghosts within the game, 5 of which are optional. And amidst digging through the game's code, there have been some discoveries for quite a few scrapped enemies, but nothing so concrete as a scrapped portrait ghost. Despite this, there lay many contradictory claims online that such a boss was actually created and scrapped before being implemented into the game. So is there any truth to this mysteriously scrapped portrait ghost, or is it only a rumor based on misinterpretation? As you may have heard throughout your Luigi's Mansion ventures online, there is talk about a portrait ghost who was planned to be the boss for the Safari Room. Though the exact details vary depending on where you hear them from, the general details describe this ghost as an Australian hunter. This ghost was said to wield a gun and tell Luigi that he would look nice in his collection of taxidermy animals, essentially implying that he would kill Luigi and put his head on the wall. Obviously, this dialogue sounds pretty scary for a Nintendo game, and is supposedly the reason for this hunter's exclusion, and depending on who you talk to, there are a variety of claims that detail how far he got into production before he was cut, even some claiming that he can be found in the beta version. So what's the deal with this Australian hunter portrait ghost? Does he actually exist in the game, or is there any evidence to suggest he was planned? As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of claims online from many different websites and forums that argue he existed and was planned. Most claims of his existence derive from really unreliable forums where the OP says he heard from his friend that such a character existed, one poster even going as far to claim you can battle him in the beta. To add to the confusion, there are many different and varied interpretations of his dialogue, appearance, and movement. Unfortunately, for such details to vary this heavily, there couldn't possibly be a concrete interaction with him in the game at all, regardless of which version it is, because he'd have a more concrete description from the players who've interacted with him. We can also confirm without a doubt that he's not found in the beta to any extent, and the heard from a friend syndrome has accounted for way too many rumors from back in the day. So while this ghost might not be functional in the game, what about the design elements that never saw fruition past the planning stages? Could he have existed in that form? Well, there aren't any specific documentation or info sources that confirm this boss was ever planned for the game in any way. But there is a rather infamous quote from the October 2001 issue of Nintendo Power which alludes to a Safari Room portrait ghost. It reads, "When your ghoul-busting mission takes you to the trophy room, proceed with caution. If you meet up with the ghost of a hunter, he'll want to add Luigi to his collection." As implied from reading this line, you'd be inclined to think there actually is a hunter ghost located in this room. It implies that he was scrapped before the American game's release, and this preview page is the surviving remnant proving he existed. However, that's simply not the case. Luigi's Mansion was already released in Japan when this issue of the magazine was published, meaning whatever was in the Japanese version would be present in the American version, and there was no Safari Room boss in the Japanese version, which means there also wasn't one in the American version. It's commonly believed that this text was written for the sake of adding flavor to the caption, and it essentially ends any string of evidence that he existed at one point in development, since there is no evidence left to claim otherwise. So this misleading caption, combined with the playground rumors from friends and the lack of knowledge involving the beta and development of the game, fused together to create one of the most well-known rumors about Luigi's Mansion. Even though the Safari Room Hunter Ghost doesn't exist and never did exist, it's still really interesting to discover how such a rumor could have formed and the drastic misinterpretation and misinformation spread about the internet.